What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're doing a first impression video on the Nike Savaleos. Okay, so the Savaleos are the talk of the town right now. These are the brand new hybrid weightlifting shoe from Nike. I call them a hybrid weightlifting shoe because they're supposed to bridge the gap between doing your heavy lifts and then being able to go into like a typical like CrossFit workout or WOD or just pretty much any kind of training session where you're doing more than just lifting. They have a slightly lower heel than the normal Savaleos. They're also a little bit more flexible. They should be a little bit more comfortable overall so that you can use them to like jump around, plyometric movements, probably not running. You might be able to do some jump roping in these, but you're probably not gonna wanna run in these. But then they also do have a stiff heel so that you don't get any kind of compression when you're doing your lifting movements, Olympic weightlifting, or just squats. Right now, no one really knows the height of the heel. So at bar bend, they have it at like 12.7, which is half an inch. And then at width, they have it at 15 millimeters, which is 0.6 inches. And that is kind of like the typical hybrid weightlifting shoe heel height. So I'm personally gonna lean towards the 0.6 inches. That is what it feels like to me. But anyways, taking a look at the just overall construction of the Savaleos, they definitely feel like a takedown shoe from the Savaleos, but they don't feel like a cheap shoe either. Like I think like the power lifts and the lifter PRs, those shoes definitely feel a little bit cheaper than the Savaleos, which don't feel cheap. The materials just don't feel as nice as the Savaleos. So we only have a single weightlifting strap on this. The nylon feels a little thin, but there is a little bit more rigidity that's added into it because of these like stitched in lines. So I don't think that this is gonna rip or not last over time. The only thing that I don't like about the strap is that this little buckle right here is made out of plastic. I don't know if that's gonna last. It should, because there's not really that much stress being put on it, but that is a little cheap looking. I do like that the strap has this opening in the middle here so that when you put your laces through, they don't get chewed up by the hook and loop. The upper on this is like a polyurethane coated kind of material, and it's a little bit stiff initially. I felt like it broke in after one weightlifting session, but it is not the best moving material that I've ever used in a weightlifting shoe. Definitely not as flexible as the power lifts. There is a good amount of ankle cushioning, and in this shoe, there is no heel slip. Really like that about this shoe. Going on to the back part of the shoe, there is a TPU kind of like carrier. It feels like the inside of the shoe is a softer midsole. Like I don't feel like the whole heel of the shoe is made out of complete TPU, and it's just like this carrier part. At the back part of the carrier, there is a lip which is supposed to be there to help you do handstand push-ups. That sticks out almost an inch out the back of the shoe. So that might actually be effective when doing handstand push-ups if you were to want to use this shoe to do handstand push-ups, of course. The outsole of this shoe has a few different points like the Savaleos, which I'll grab right now. So these are the Savaleo 4s and these are the Savaleos. So if you look at just like the design of the outsole, it's smart in the way that it's not like a huge wide shoe or platform to the shoe, but there are some really good outriggers, and those are going to be found on the metatarsal area and then at the heel that increase ground contact but don't increase the bulk of the shoe. I really like that about the Savaleos, and I really like that about the Savaleos too. Also, the rubber on these shoes is excellent. That goes both ways. The grip on the Savaleos and the Savaleos so far have been very good to me. And then the laces on the shoe, they're not fancy or nice or anything, but I can't really complain about them. They're a little bit soft, and like I think I pulled some fabric out of them, just like lacing up my shoes with my nasty ass hands. But otherwise, I think that the laces, they work. The tongue on this shoe is okay as well. It's secure, it doesn't really float around or anything, but it's not really padded if that's what you're looking for in a weightlifting shoe, but I don't think that's gonna be too big of an issue. The insole on this shoe is glued in, and it's not like the Romaleos where, you know, you can replace it like with a competition style insole. It's actually just kind of soft, and I actually kind of like that about this shoe. It gives it a very comfortable in shoe feel, and I can't really complain. Like long training sessions, you're gonna want that over, you know, a really dense weightlifting shoe insert. There's only one insert that comes with the Savaleos as well, so you don't get like the comfort one and then the competition one. The toe box on this shoe is pretty flexible. The material moves okay, but like I said before, that PU material kind of crumples up, and I think that over time, I hope that over time that breaks in, but right now it's not the greatest moving material. And as of right now, the Savaleos only come in two colorways. I got the black one, and then the yellow one is more of like a gray and yellow than it is a white and yellow. If you look at the pictures online, it looks like it's a white and yellow, but it's definitely more gray in real life. And then there's also a white version of these shoes coming out soon, which kind of has like Romaleo 3XD vibes. And if I had to say anything, like the upper on this shoe is very reminiscent of the original Romaleo 3s. It kind of has that like plasticky feeling to it, which didn't really hold up that great on the original Romaleo, so I hope that it holds up better on this shoe. And since these are a hybrid training weightlifting shoe, they do weigh a little bit less than your standard weightlifting shoes, which are about 20 ounces. I weighed the men's size 10 in at 15.7 ounces, which is a little bit lighter, but it's still not a light shoe by any means. It's still a heavier weightlifting shoe. Falls more in line with like the Adipower 2s and the original Romaleo 3s. So when talking about sizing your Savaleos, I'm gonna say that these definitely run on the small side. I got them in both a size 10 and a 10.5, and the size 10 just initially felt really, really small, even smaller than the Rom 4s, which I said were a small initially, but they eventually broke in, and I would say that the size 10, which is my normal true to size, fit the best out of the 10.5 and the 9.5. The 9.5 was just not doable, and the 10 in the Savaleos felt like the 9.5 Rom 4s, which were brutally tight. And that's actually what I wore in my Romaleo 2s. I wore a 9.5 Romaleo 2s. So when sizing your Savaleos, I'm gonna say that if you have a narrow foot, maybe go with your true to size. It's gonna feel tight initially, but hopefully it breaks in. I can't really say that right now. But if you're worried about sizing, definitely go with a half size up. If you plan to use these for training, go with a half size up. If you only plan to squat with it, then you might be able to get with that normal true to size. But if you're gonna like train in these, do box jumps, you plan to do that kind of style of working out in these shoes, definitely go with a half size up. It's just gonna give you a little bit more room to breathe in your foot, and it's not really gonna require all that much break-in. Plus, if you're doing like training, you're gonna want a little bit more space in your shoe. If you have a wide foot, it's gonna be a definite size up with the Savaleos. So my quick take first impressions on these shoes. Like I said, the upper does not move the greatest with your feet. I think it requires quite a bit more break-in. Like I said, I only wore these one time so far. This is the first impressions video, and over time I hope that that upper does break in, but otherwise you're probably going to need to go half a size up if you plan on getting these shoes. The flexibility is not really something I would normally talk about with a weightlifting shoe, but since these are a hybrid weightlifting shoe, I'm going to say the flexibility is not that great. Not like other hybrid weightlifting shoes, definitely not like the Power Lifts, the Lifter PRs, or the Innovate Fast Lifts. These are the most rigid of all of them, and I think a lot of people are going to actually kind of like that about these shoes because they're more weightlifty than they are for like CrossFit, but otherwise, yeah, the flexibility not so good right now. The fit is kind of up in the air. Like, I hope that these break in. I will say that when I initially put these on, I thought that they felt pretty tight. I managed to get throughout my whole weightlifting session. I did PR my power clean at 275. What I really like about these shoes is that even though that they are tight and they are pretty form-fitting, by the end of that weightlifting session, I didn't really have any problems. I didn't really notice that they were tight. And my heel did not slip out of these at all. Not like the Romaleo 4s, which I don't even wear for certain things because I feel like the heel slip is just god-awful on those shoes. So really like that about it. I think the heel or the strap placement on the shoe is much better. It rises a little bit higher than on the Romaleos, so it actually straps around your ankles, where the Romaleo is like low and then it like straps around just like the top of your foot, which I thought was not the greatest strap placement. Well, as far as weight goes, I felt like these are a good balance between being heavy and stable enough, but not super heavy to the point where you can't really move your feet anymore. Like I said, I did PR my power clean, so they definitely are stable. I didn't really have any kind of issues with my feet shifting around when I landed or anything, so I really like that about them. Power throughout the pull, like I was able to keep my toes down in these shoes. The landings were stable, and I felt like overall these were pretty easy to jump into and just start lifting, which for weightlifting shoes, if anyone's new to them, you kind of have to acclimate yourself into a new pair of weightlifting shoes. They're not a one-size-fit-all kind of thing, not like trainers where you can kind of just put on whatever trainer. Of course, everybody has their preference, but trainers are a little bit more universal, more so than weightlifting shoes. And I felt like with the Savaleos, I could put them on. They were initially comfortable. I mean, I could lift in them, but they obviously weren't that comfortable because they are tight and not that flexible. But I could lift in them and not have any issues. What I really like about the Savaleos so far is that the heel to toe drop feels pretty gradual. Like there's no real steep step down from the heel to the toe. Whatever the heel height may be, it does feel pretty gradual. So like I said, I'm gonna go with 0.6 inches, 15 millimeters. That just sounds safer to me with these shoes. But I will try to find that over time. I've asked the Nike store on Twitter, which is usually good with the information, and they didn't have it. I actually asked somebody directly at Nike that worked on these shoes, and he didn't even know what the actual heel height of these was. But overall, like, I'm pretty impressed with the Savaleos so far. I think that for 120 bucks, it's a good investment. If you're just looking to get your feet wet with a pair of weightlifting shoes, or if you wanted a tweener shoe, then the Savaleos are probably my favorite so far because they lean a little bit more towards stability than they do flexibility. I really like that the heel is like inflexible on these shoes. It's pretty rigid, but inside the shoe it feels pretty comfortable. It doesn't feel like these shoes are gonna like compress or anything like that. So I would not worry about that if that was one of the concerns that you have. I mean, the shell of this is TPU, so that's definitely not compressing. Though I do feel like torsionally there might be a little bit more flex than like the Romaleo 4s. But like I said, this is the first impression review, so keep your eyes out for the full-on review of the Savaleos coming in maybe a couple weeks or so. I want to test these ones out a little bit more so that I have some more information about the way that they fit and I can put them through some more tests. Before this video is over, I want to transition over and show you guys a pair of shoes that I got in from Wit Fitness. These are the Nike Metcon 6 Premiums, and in this colorway, it's supposed to resemble a luggage. So I forget what the actual pack is called, but there is a like rose pink one, and then there is a silver one, which I did feature on my Instagram before, but I eventually returned those. They're all supposed to resemble a suitcase, and this one is for sure the best one. I love brown shoes. It just kind of has that urban vibe to it, plus it's got that little gold at the back. I felt like these ones were gonna be all leather, but they're not. The toe is still that just normal mesh material, which is fine. It looks like leather. It does have a high quality look to it. and I'll give it that. Kind of resembles the Noble leather trainers, and I'll kind of knock against Nike on that one. But otherwise, really like the look of these ones. There's leather accents right across the side here. And then the whole back part of the shoe, the quarter panel, is made out of that leather. It's got the Metcon logo embossed into it. Kind of has like Gucci vibes. And I really like that about these shoes. The tongue has a little combination lock on it. I didn't understand that initially, but yeah, it's a little combination lock. The heel clip on this is that gold, but go easy on that because it will flake and chip and peel off if you're too hard on that. And of course we have the gum outsole, but the gum on this is way better than the gum on like the white gum and the black gum Metcon 6s, which like has like a diarrhea brown gum. This is a clean, classic looking gum colorway, and I really like the brown and gum of this shoe. It's a nice classic look. It makes you want to light up a cigar, have a glass of whiskey, and I don't know if I'm going to train in these because of how, you know, awesome they look, and I really just don't want to like tear up this leather part, but I'll probably wear these around just casually. Metcon 6s are one of those shoes where you can wear it casually because they are very, very comfortable shoes. Definitely not going to wear them to the club or anything like that, but the inside of these shoes does have some details like looking like the inside of a suitcase. And on this one, this guy's packing some Fruit Loops in there. And then there's an RPM jump rope bag on one of them. And then, oh yeah, there's a suitcase tag that comes with these shoes as well, which is also a nice little touch. I really like that. Oh, I missed this little detail. This eyelet has a little gold on it, a little bling there. And then on this one, there's more suitcase. There's like a little hypervolt in there, lacrosse ball, and then there's an RX rope in this one. So this guy's packing an RPM and an RX. Probably something I would do. But anyways, these are the Metcon 6 premiums, and they cost only $10 more than your standard Metcon 6. So if you wanted a little bit more swag with your Metcon 6, you wanted a little bit more clout walking around the gym, this is probably the colorway that you wanted to go with. Just make sure that you're not too hard with that leather at the back. Shout out to Wit sending these ones over. If you guys haven't checked out Wit, they are one of the biggest retailers as far as like training goods in the UK. They also ship worldwide. But anyways, that's it. Metcon 6 Premium, Savaleos first impression. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button and make sure that you guys are subscribed to my channel so that you can catch the full-on Savaleo review when I get it done. And that's pretty much it, guys. Catch you in the next one. Peace.